my exhibition that you'll be seeing half of today, which is called Masterpieces of Chinese Painting from the Met Collection. This is really in celebration of 100 years sort of achievements in collecting, and then sort of taking stock moment to think about the next 100 years of collecting. There's more focus on Song and Yuan material in this show. That's mostly just because this is the rarest, earliest material. So we begin in this first gallery. This is devoted to what we call early landscape paintings, from the very famous early painting Riverbank through to an early Northern Song court painting. This second gallery really entails a very special moment, I think, for the world to enjoy Chinese art. Huangtingjian, over here, there's a long cursive scroll, and then facing off across the way is Huangtingjian's friend, Mi Fu, two of the real masterpieces of early calligraphy that survive. And the most famous treasure in this room is this painting made by the last emperor of Northern Song himself, Song Huizong. So what I've done in this gallery is I've taken out these two important pieces of court art. We have the Kangxi Southern Inspection Tour, the Nanshan Tu, and then the Qianlong Southern Inspection Tour, Nanshan Tu. And here you can see Qianlong emerging from the gate in Suzhou on the back of this white horse. My goal is always to create an exhibition that will serve all my audiences at the same time. Some of our scrolls that have, for instance, cursive calligraphy, Caoshu, that we have also the standard script calligraphy underneath it, the Kaishu, so that, because I know people who are born and raised in China, native speakers, may not necessarily be able to read Huangtingjian so easily.
So hi, I'm Denise Petri-Leidy. I'm the Brooke Russell Astor Curator of Chinese Art at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I'm also the co-curator for this exhibition, Global by Design, which features a really exquisite and important Brazilian collection of Chinese ceramics. We wanted to make sure that people understood that trade in porcelain was an Asian phenomenon before it was a global phenomenon. So you have, again, things that were made for the Islamic world, things that were made for Japan, and a really, really interesting bowl of very good quality that has a Latin inscription on it. So this group of 5 objects, which is clearly the star of the show, is something that was most likely made for trade to Europe. It's the most spectacular example of this type of thing anywhere. And the story that this is telling is a very Chinese story. This is West Lake in Hangzhou, which is an incredibly famous place associated with the great poet and statesman Su Shi, found in Chinese poetry and painting, found in Japanese painting even. All of the things that you see here would have been used for eating and serving food. And the crab is particularly wonderful because, in fact, can you see that it's basically, it opens up, so the top part comes off, and if you pick it up, the eyes wiggle, which is really fun. Unfortunately, we don't pick it up. 17th, 18th, 19th century, everybody is having their china made in China. One of the more fun ones in my mind, of course, is this figure, because this is probably, again, something for serving food. You just recognize him, right? And if you pull off his top, you could eat soup from it. But it's, of course, Buddha. This is a total visual fantasy. You can't say, this is European, this is Chinese. It's very, very hard to do. It's kind of an interesting mix of them. So it comes from a German metal shape. It's, again, a serving dish. But if you look, you can see that there are kind of Chinese-style landscapes in there. There are things that might very well come from the lotus, which is found in East Asian culture. But then you have these funny European heads on the sides. You can imagine a clay artist who had access to everything in the world and just made something completely new up. And that's really what the story here is. That we talk to each other a lot, and sometimes we made new stuff up.
Each of these works of art is a life-changing experience to see, and I think of this show as really a once-in-a-generation opportunity to see so many masterpieces in the same place.
To say that it's not really a binary story, so it's not just China and the European world, then in fact all the way through it was China, Japan, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Mexico. I think maybe it'll remind people that we've been talking to each other one way or the other, if not with language, then with imagery for a very, very long time. We tend not to think about that very much, and it's a good time to remind ourselves that Europe and Asia are really Eurasia, and actually you can move across the landmass. It's not that big a deal.